Welcome, everybody, to today's Grassroots Health interview. I've got Amanda Bourbonnais here, the health freelancer, who shared her story recently about her experience with high dose vitamin D and how it has made such a big difference in her life. And so, first of all, thank you so much for being here with us today. You were just telling me how you had no idea an organization such as Grassroots Health existed. We've been around since 2007, and we represent the world's leading vitamin D researchers, scientists, doctors who have implemented vitamin D protocols into their practice. And we are happy to talk about vitamin D, including success stories every day. So, pleasure to have you with us today, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to have a chat today.
Well, if you wouldn't mind starting just telling us a little bit about yourself, where you live, where you grew up, your background, what you do, and whatever else you'd like to share about you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Amanda. Hello, everyone. I am born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I currently still live in the area. And I'm 32 years old. And I would say for about half of my life, at least, I've been dealing with significant chronic health issues. So, up until really kind of just a few years ago, that was kind of the dominant narrative of my life was kind of being sick and not feeling well. In when I was 13, I was originally diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and then at 26, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. So, yeah, needless to say, it's been a long and eventful journey to get back to health and wellness and where I am today. But looking back on the journey now, I feel really fortunate to have gone through it and learned so much about health, holistic health, and just having been on the journey I went on to get here. And along the way, I also became a freelancer. I started my own business, which is something I never thought I would do or would be able to do. But I am an English major by training. I have a college degree in English. So I knew writing was something that I always wanted to do and managed to learn some copywriting and turn that into a successful freelance career that really supports my health and my lifestyle and how I want to maintain my wellness on a daily basis. So that was really kind of the driving force behind me starting my business and then eventually to kind of starting this new brand called Health First Freelancer. And it's still in its early stages, but it's been fun to kind of share my journey and talk about healthy lifestyle in this way.
Right, right. Yeah, I love what you talk about. I love the importance of balancing your health with your work and your priorities,
Yeah.
and it really is everything in life is all about balance. And so sometimes it's unfortunate that we have to go through our own experiences to really learn. Life is our best teacher, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that you grew up with a lot of health challenges, but here we are today. Uh, if you wouldn't mind, describe your health journey before experiencing the effects of vitamin D. How you got to your diagnosis, what types of symptoms you experienced, and what other treatments you tried.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll gloss over the kind of ulcerative colitis chapter a bit. That was kind of just conventionally managed with medication, and I did reasonably well with that up until a certain point. But then where things really took a turn was actually I had to go off of that medication because it was affecting my liver. So my doctors told me I had to switch to a different medication. Of course, as soon as I went off that medication, the ulcerative colitis returned. I immediately went into a flare, ended up on steroids for 9 to 10 months total. And this along the way discovered that I also have chronic Lyme disease. So this is around like 2018, 2019. I was really just having a lot of fatigue, a lot of brain fog. Depression and anxiety were kind of ruling my life. I was fortunate, I guess, in the sense that I did not have any neurological symptoms. I know a lot of people experience that with Lyme. Fortunately for me, that was not the case, but I was just really debilitated by this fatigue and brain fog and depression. And I was having a lot of gut issues as well, of course, along with the ulcerative colitis and food sensitivities and intolerances. I obviously wasn't digesting very well, so I was not absorbing a lot of nutrients, and pretty much just struggled with all kind of conventional treatment approaches. They basically threw every drug they had at me, and I was not responsive to any of them. So I had to figure out a different path. And I was kind of experimenting with certain supplements on my own for a while, but I eventually found out that I just wasn't taking enough of a dose, like high of a dose of anything to really make a difference. But I did eventually start working with a naturopathic doctor in my area. And he was the one who put me on a high dose of vitamin D to kind of kick things off because he looked at my lab, I brought my labs in and he looked at my vitamin D levels and said, this is an easy place we can start. So he ended up doing that, and that's kind of what kicked off my healing journey.
Do you remember what your level was?
Yeah, it was 27, which is not as low as some people I've heard, but it was pretty low.
Yeah, yeah, that is low. So our the range that our scientists panel has defined as optimum is 40 to 60, and that's nanograms per milliliter. Some doctors prefer it to go up to 80, some even up to
Hmm.
100, and then there are therapeutic uses of vitamin D. So, for example, Dr. Coimbra in Brazil is well known for the Coimbra protocol, and that he uses to help patients with multiple sclerosis and other autoimmune diseases.
Hmm.
And their doses of vitamin D go way up. I mean, hundreds of thousands of IUs sometimes a day
Yeah.
for them. But they also monitor the safety through calcium levels and PTH very closely. So, and there's so much more to that protocol besides vitamin D. But I'm curious. So, had you heard about vitamin D, or what had you heard about vitamin D before your doctor said, okay, we need to get you taking more?
Right. Yeah, I had heard about it. And I had been actually experimenting with taking some, but I was just taking quite a low dose, like maybe 1 or 2,000 IUs. So yeah, I was, in all of my own kind of Google deep dives, I had come across it and some of its benefits, but turns out I need a lot more to see significant changes.
And so, what dose did your doctor start you on?
My doctor prescribed 50,000 IUs daily for 2 weeks. And then I went down to a maintenance dose of 5,000. Sometimes I play around with that, like 5 to 7,000. But that's pretty much still what I do today.
Okay. And so it sounds like you noticed pretty immediate differences, or what did you experience when you first started taking the vitamin D? And then like exactly how did your symptoms change? Did you run into any difficulties or issues, or tell us a little bit more about your overall physical, mental, energy,
Hmm.
what you noticed in all of that?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say the change was pretty immediate. I would say like within the first week of this high dose protocol. Um, I kind of just noticed one day that I wasn't having these like looping depressive thoughts that I had been having. I kind of just started to feel more like just balanced, like on an even keel, like not spiraling about things or about my situation. I guess like in a nutshell, like I started to have hope again. I started to kind of realize that, yes, my situation was not ideal, but I could find a way out of it and find a way through it. So yeah, I really credit vitamin D with kind of giving me like my mental capacity back to like make decisions and see a situation from like a higher perspective and kind of move forward with my health in that way. So that was definitely the biggest change. I would say it also did give me some energy. I like worked further on that with other supplements and things. But yeah, I would say it did give me some amount of energy. Like before, I was really kind of just laying around most of the day. I was deep diving on Google to try and figure out what was wrong with me. But other than that, there was not a whole lot of movement going on. So, yeah, I think shortly thereafter, I started walking again and started going for daily walks. So, yeah, I would say the mental health change and some energy were the biggest benefits I noticed.
Wow. And was vitamin D, was that all you started with, or did you also have other nutrients or any other interventions that anybody could say, oh, it's not because of the vitamin D, or was that really the only change that you started with?
That was the only change I started with. We then added other supplements and things. I also started LDN for the ulcerative colitis, which helped me a lot. But no, at first it was just the vitamin D for the first 2 weeks.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what is LDN?
LDN is low dose naltrexone. It is a drug, like it's an off-label use of the drug naltrexone at low doses, and it really helps with stabilizing autoimmunity, lowering inflammation. Also, it has also helped my increase those mental health benefits for me. And yeah, basically, I used that. That was like a significant part of the protocol to heal my gut.
Hmm. Nice. Okay, and so you said that you added later on some other nutrients. What else did you add that you noticed you could kind of attribute some increased improvement from? And what
Hmm.
are you still taking now?
Yeah, it's quite the list, to be honest with you. I'm kind of a supplement biohacker these days. But one of the next things we did right away was a B complex. So he also, I think I had a B12 test that was on the lower end of the range as well. So he kind of noticed that, but he wanted me to do the B complex in order to kind of balance out all the B vitamins and make sure that one was not affecting the others because they kind of work in an interconnected way in the body. So after starting that, I definitely noticed more improvements in my energy. And then from there, it's really kind of just been playing around with lots of different things. Choline also really helped me early on with energy and like mental awareness, like helped with the brain fog. And acetylcysteine is something I take pretty regularly for like liver and detox support. So yeah, and then I rotate a lot of different like herbal supplements and tinctures for Lyme and co-infections.
Okay, all right. So, any specific dietary changes or just because we know that with vitamin D, especially a lot of nutrients, your gut health really affects how much vitamin D is absorbed. So,
Mm, yeah. I think the year before all of this kind of health stuff went down, I did go gluten-free. So now I've been gluten-free for 7 or 8 years. And I did notice that helped my gut a little bit. It helped my mental health more so. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the biggest change in my diet that I've maintained consistently. At one point, I was also completely dairy free. But yeah, these days I am able to enjoy a little bit of dairy within reason. But other than that, yeah, I'm strictly gluten free. But other than that, no foods are off the table. I would say I follow mostly like a paleo style diet.
mhm.
So lots of whole foods and veggies and plenty of protein, eggs, meat, fish. Yeah, I try not to restrict myself too much because I've been down that rabbit hole before and it didn't benefit me. So yeah, these days just the gluten free.
Yeah, yeah. No, I ask because, vitamin D isn't the answer to everything.
Right.
It is one very good and often missing piece to our health. But we've got all these different important components, whether it's diet, stress, the co-nutrients. But I think your story very clearly points to the importance of vitamin D,
Hmm.
the powerful, like safe, right? You didn't have any issues with toxicity, no
Mm-mm.
concerns. There's some of us who would call vitamin D the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
It could be considered the safest, most convenient, most inexpensive, yet most effective way for just about anybody to improve their health. Would
Hmm.
you agree with that statement?
I would very much agree with that statement. Yeah, I think anytime I talk to anyone about, or anyone who talks to me about their health issues or things that they're dealing with, that is almost universally one of the first things I bring up is like, have you tested your vitamin D levels? Are you taking a supplement? Do you go outside in the sunshine every day? Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And how often do you hear a response, oh yeah, I know my level, or I take, more than I take my vitamin D and they have no idea how much, right? Like,
Right.
you ever run across, because one of the other questions I was going to ask you is if you are aware if vitamin D has affected the health of anyone close to you. So what is your experience since you've been talking to more people
Yeah.
about vitamin D?
For the most part, I think people are open to it, especially since COVID. I think the conversation has like only gotten more popular. Um, but I would still say most people are unaware of the type of supplement they should be taking or the dosage, and very few people have done the lab testing. So it's definitely still an area in need of education.
Right.
But I do find it encouraging that like most people, if they are indeed looking for my advice, and these days I always ask people, like, do you want me to give you my opinion? They are open to it. So I think that's encouraging.
Well, good, good. Yeah, we did get a lot of exposure for vitamin D and its health benefits, especially through COVID. But it's really unfortunate where just about everybody falls short, even other health practitioners, is in their final recommendation of what do you do about it, right?
Hmm.
We know that the daily recommended allowance is way too low. It's only 6 to 800 IU a day, but we
Hmm.
need about 10 times more than that,
Yeah.
especially if you've got chronic health issues, stress, inflammation. So those will increase your body's need for vitamin D. And so at Grassroots Health, we always say the most important thing to know about vitamin D is what your personal dose should be. So we recommend the testing to find out what your level is. We have a calculator online to calculate how much vitamin D you need to get to your target level.
Mm.
And you need to be aware that, well, you might not get to your target with that first dose because
Yeah.
you might not be getting enough magnesium or another co-nutrient, or your gut might be so inflamed that you're not absorbing it. So, but I'm curious, do you know your level now?
Actually, that's a good question. I haven't tested in maybe a couple of years. If I had to guess based on the way that I feel, I would say it's probably somewhere around 60. Originally, my naturopathic doctor did get me up into the 80 level range. So that was his goal based on the fact that I had this autoimmune disease and, other mitigating factors. Um, but yeah, I should retest soon.
Well, I love that your healthcare practitioner was so knowledgeable about vitamin D. And unfortunately, there is a lot of fear about toxicity. There's
Hmm.
a lot of misinformation out there. So, again, I really appreciate you sharing your story. I have just a couple other questions. What kind of supplement do you take?
Yeah, I really like a liquid supplement. I take a lot of capsules and soft gels and things like that. So if I can find a liquid, I'm super happy about that. And I like it because it's very easy to dose up or down depending on what you need, even depending like seasonally. I live in the Midwest, so I dose up a little bit for the winter. And it lasts a really long time. Like I usually only buy a little tiny bottle of vitamin D drops, like maybe twice a year.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and you can just take it straight under your tongue. You could add it to a beverage. You can even rub it into the skin, which I think is great for people who either just they're kind of wary of the oral route or like maybe kids or something, it's easier to rub into the skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really versatile in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're virtually tasteless. They
Yeah.
are very easy, but even the capsules are so tiny. Um,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who have gut issues actually respond really well to the topical or to UVB light.
Mm.
So, and that brings another important component of vitamin D into the conversation, which is why I also asked where you live and where you
Yeah.
grew up, because vitamin D, it's our sunshine vitamin, right?
Hmm.
And we need UVB rays to be able to make vitamin D from the sun, but they're only available midday, and during certain seasons, it's not available at all.
Yep.
So you said you're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not making any vitamin D from the sun right now.
Not much.
So,
No.
so anybody who's above about LA and Georgia or Atlanta, Georgia, I believe it is, have several months out of the year where there's no UVB available and they just can't make vitamin D from the sun. So, guaranteed if you're not taking a supplement, you're deficient.
Yeah.
Um, well, Amanda, I think I'm out of questions for you. Besides, what advice do you have for others with your diagnosis or similar diagnoses, whether it's about vitamin D and high doses of vitamin D and if they might be a good fit, or just anything else from your life journey that you'd like to share for advice?
Yeah. I think on the vitamin D side of things, one thing that has been interesting as I've been sharing my story on YouTube and reading various people's comments about their own experiences, um, it's interesting that like truly everyone's individual need is different. Some people say like, oh, I've tried high dose and it made me nauseous or it gave me a certain side effect. So I think that is one reason that it can be really great to work with a knowledgeable practitioner and figure out, what is your ideal dose. Like I took 50,000 IUs daily for 2 weeks to boost my levels, but maybe you don't need that much. Maybe you only need 5 or 10,000 for a week or two to make a significant difference in your health. So I kind of just want to share that perspective a little bit more because I think, the high dose is quite flashy and interesting, and it worked very well for me, but that might not necessarily be the case for you. And as you mentioned, the various different cofactors, magnesium and K2 and so on, it's everyone is different.
Mhm.
So, if you are, interested in trying it, I think, there's no harm in starting with a lower dose and kind of seeing how you feel, and then perhaps you can work with a practitioner if you want to try higher doses. Um, in general, I would say that my health journey was a very long and winding road. And there were definitely a lot of ups and downs, and I had to learn a lot. I had to educate myself a lot. So, whoever's watching this, I just applaud you for continuing to learn for yourself and making changes in your own health. And ultimately, it is down to us as much as we can value and trust the advice of our practitioners. We have to make our own health choices. So just keep investigating, don't give up. And yeah, something like vitamin D could have a really huge impact on your health. So don't be afraid of trying it.
Oh yeah, don't discount it either. I
Yeah.
completely agree. And just one example of the biological individuality of vitamin D. We do have an online study that we've been running since 2008, and we have a husband and wife participant,
Mm,
and the husband has type 2 diabetes. And I mean, I assume he's also heavier weight, but he requires 10,000 IU a day to maintain.
hmm.
Whereas his wife only needs 2,000 IU a day. And this is to be in that same 40 to 60 range. And
Right.
so you really don't know. how much
Yeah.
vitamin D you need unless you measure because you want to be in a certain range. And you don't want to be deficient, especially women who are trying to get pregnant. Vitamin D is one of the most important nutrients to make sure you're getting when you're pregnant.
Hmm.
So, there's one other thing, my goodness, that I wanted to mention. But yeah, don't be afraid of the high doses either. And if you are, just find somebody. You can even contact me at Grassroots Health, Jen at grassrootshealth.org. And we're actually going to start offering some tests to support individuals who are taking the higher doses, not as therapeutic levels, but just to kind of quench any concern they might have.
Mm.
10,000 a day is actually the no adverse outcomes level as
Ah.
defined by the IOM. And so really that's a safe dose for most
Hmm.
people. Of
Hmm.
course, there's other considerations, but yeah. So most important thing that we like to say at Grassroots Health is to measure your vitamin D level, make sure you're in the target 40 to 60. If you have other health concerns like autoimmune disease, cancer, maybe choose a higher level. And we're here to answer any questions. We've got a panel of over 50 international vitamin D scientists and experts that we lean on if we can't answer a question right away for you. So yeah, I guess that's enough for me. Amanda, if you have any other closing thoughts that you want to share.
I think that's it for me as well. Just thank you for the opportunity and hope everyone has found something useful.
Yeah, awesome. All right, yes, and good luck to everybody in their own health journeys. Well, thank you again. Have an amazing rest of your day, and you guys as well.
You too. Bye bye.